Do you remember those posts that were going around where someone would do an image and they would say, make it fluffier, make it even more fluffier, or something like that? And it would just get more and more and more extreme. I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, what if we did this with some of our simple coding tests with AI? Rather than having an image become more and more extreme, what if we did, which by the way, is this not like the most extreme office like ever? I kept telling it like, all right, come on, we got to go crazier. What if we did this with a game? So the best game I could think of was Tetris because it's a game that you can write in a couple hundred lines of code. And here, I want to pause this here. The very first version, I just said, hey, I want a functional game of Tetris. It put it in the terminal. So keep that in mind. We are starting with it in the terminal. And my main prompt, other than fixing bugs, is going to be, come on, let's make the game better. I did actually direct it here to say that I do want it to be like a visual thing. So there's a little bit of a caveat here. So look at this. I am literally, I'm not actually moving it because I wasn't playing, didn't realize like what was going on at the minute. And then I said, okay, now turn this into Pygame. And from here on, I just say, keep making it better and better and better. And actually, I use the words like, can you make it more awesome? How can you make it more awesome? Come on now, make it more awesome. So this first version is very basic. I didn't even play through it that much. You can actually see code still generating behind the scenes here. And ultimately, what I've put together here is about 6 hours of footage that I've spanned down to about 15 minutes to kind of show the iterations. And I'll say it's kind of surprising because by the time we get to the end, we're gonna have like lost some things that I thought was kind of cool in the middle, and I'll call those out. So here we've got like our hold piece. So I've told it to make it more awesome. It's got the hold piece. Controls are good. The UI is kind of like buggy. Things are in the wrong place. So here's another version. In this particular one, they're trying to actually start adding some sound in there. So I'm just like playing around with testing it now. And it does end properly, which is really cool. And notice the UI. Pay good attention to the UI because that's the part that's going to change like drastically. So now here we've got a nice like softer pastel-y look. We've got that gray background on the right. We actually have C now actually working. And the ghost pieces, I wasn't a big fan of that at first, but as I played it more, I actually kind of liked it, to be honest. And I didn't, again, it came up with that on its own. So that ended there. One of the other things that we'll start seeing here is like, check this out. I'm going to pause it here. We now have a main menu with some animating stuff in it. Uh, it gives you the controls, but the controls are kind of, I don't exactly know what's supposed to be there, but I bet you they want like some images or something. But I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this when this popped up. We've actually even got the bouncing like Tetris piece there. Um, so here we can actually see the next two or three pieces, and but the hold menu is still there, so it's still like wonky in places. And again, I just want to pause here for a second. This is so good. Can you make it even more awesome? Literally, that's what I kept telling it. I'm using Claude 3.5 Sonnet with GitHub Copilot. And I'll tell you, we made it so awesome a few times that it actually did even crash. This one, I just kind of play around with this a little bit more. So here's another one, just minor iterations there. Because one of the things that I found is I did actually tell it about some bugs periodically. So here, you can see the whole piece is gone, but it now shows you your next three pieces, which is really cool. Eventually, it actually even starts scoring for you. So you can see, if I pause here, you can see in this file up here, this is important to watch too. We have one file, and then we've got this JSON file where the high score is actually being stored. And so yeah, I'm just playing along. Scoring's working great. I'm getting my leveling properly here. Had no concerns. None of the pieces are odd shape, like they're all just the normal Tetris pieces, and that's pretty good. We actually at this point have some particle effects if you clear a line. I just want to actually see that happen. I guess you really can't. Maybe it isn't this one yet. Let's see when this clears. No, it's just that flash. That's what it's working on there. It's like that nice little flash when it actually clears the line there. And then jumping forward a little bit, check out this game over screen that it gave me. It's got like some animated like space stuff in there. This is another one. I like the size of this one. It's probably my favorite size one out of all of them. Like, I like the way it's got it broken up, and actually I don't mind the color separation here. And we're still at one file, and we've got the JSON here. Now we actually started running into a couple errors at this point. So this is actually fixing, and I wanted to show this, but I was running into this often. So OOM typically means like out of memory. So something I was doing caused an OOM crash, which I was surprised on. But I actually got this not once, not twice, but actually 3 different times. All right, but after I reloaded and I finished that prompt, it now has become Tetris RPG. And you can look over here on the right, all of the things that it's been doing. There's like, I don't know, these are like a bunch of bug fixes it's fixing here. But apparently, if I push tab, there's a skills tree and I can upgrade skills, which unfortunately, I never fully got working. You can kind of hear some of the sound that it's generating. And now I have to actually tell it there's a bug here because the piece is constantly moving to the right. But notice like the improvements that's happening. And again, the game over screen's really good. Okay, so now this one hopefully has that movement piece actually fixed where it was like moving to the right constantly. And then I wanted to take a look here at the skill screen. So we've got the piece control, we've got the line clear master, we've got the time master, and we've got the combo master. And apparently you can actually level those up in this version. I could never figure out exactly how to get XP with this one. And as I kept telling it to do more and more. So here you can see, this is me like telling it about a bug. Like, so I would do that besides like making it more awesome. So there was a lot of make it more awesome, fix this bug. So now we have an issue now where it's moving to the left. So I hopefully fixed that. And yeah, the movement's working good now. This one's looking great. Notice we lost the kind of like pastel-y look too, which I thought was kind of interesting. We still have the skill tree there, which is cool. I wanted that to work so bad. I just don't think it actually ever hooked it up. I think it put the menu in there, but I don't think it actually did the code for it. And if you look behind it, you can see we're looking at like 1,003 lines of code. It seems like we're pretty close to the bottom. It's hard to tell. And then this is Tetris.py. So this has already gotten significantly longer than what you'd see with like a 250, 270 line Python file of Tetris here. Now this one started adding power-ups. You see that orange orb. The power-ups are kind of weird. Some of them are awesome. Some of them I could never figure out exactly what they were supposed to do. Some of them like slow the fall rate of pieces. Some of them give you more points, like if that piece were to come down and like clear. Some of them like blow things up. And every once in a while when I got to blow up one, that was super cool because it would like clear everything below it. Like that. Did you see that? Like that entire thing like blew up there. And you see that I hit this orange piece up here, and notice here that we've got like rain falling in it too. So I decided to add these like really interesting particles on it. And I kept checking the skill menu because I wanted to see if I had XP to like level up there. Now, this is where the AI actually took a step back. It decided it was going to break it up into different files. So we have a board file, a constants file, effect file, and then we have our Tetris file. But you see how we've kind of like almost went backwards here in the quality. We still have like a nice effect. We did not have a main menu anymore. We still got like that rain effect. And there was actually a bunch of errors when it did this too. So I had to kind of work through that. So here I'm just seeing, so game over actually works properly. I actually told it that it lost some of the functionality. So it restored the grid in there. The window size isn't bad. We lost all that kind of like border here, which isn't the end of the world. I don't actually mind it looking like this. And I'm just going to like play through this like super fast here. You see these power-ups that you can actually get, so those are working. And you can kind of hear the sounds like lightly in the background because that's, that's playing. Okay, so now it actually restored the grid to the next 4 pieces, it seems. It seems like it got rid of the whole idea of holding a piece. My goal was like, could I get a straight line and like just get a bunch of them? I did. It's hard to tell because I've got this sped up a little bit, but there's actually a little bit of a particle animation that plays. And here that ran into a bug. Okay, so now they added the main menu back, and now it's got like a how to play screen, which I thought kind of interesting, but I can't get out of the how to play screen, so I had to stop the game and come back into it. It looks like the snow is falling or rain's falling even more on this version. I do actually kind of like the way this looks, so it's kind of neat, to be honest with you, kind of spacey, even with the pieces kind of floating out there. Notice I picked up that power up and things blew up below it. So the game's like really starting to come together at this point here. Watch this. We're gonna get a power up. You see how that it like removed a bunch of pieces throughout here. Really interesting the way these power ups that it came up with work. So that actually I think it made it harder on me because it got rid of a bunch of pieces in the middle, and so I was doomed to actually fail that one at that point. So I was trying to figure out a little bit like maybe I'm keeping my prompt open too long. So I started like opening up new prompts, and that's what I did here. And for some reason, it decided to make the window a lot bigger. But this is about, again, after about 6 hours of iterating, having the AI iterate on it. One of the things I really like is they actually started introducing like new piece shapes in there, which I thought was really cool. And you probably could see that particle effect really well there. That's a gravity flip. There we go. See that nice particle effect there when it actually went through. So that it's really started to like come together at this point. I love this. It's like a color changing one. I was actually even debating like, do I even grab that one? I don't know if I want to grab that one or not because, and I'm like, okay, maybe I will just go ahead and grab it here in a second because I want to just see what it is. So I hit it, Rainbow Blast. Again, I don't know exactly what all of them do, but some of them do like some really interesting thing. I got one where like the world actually distorts a little bit. It's so bizarre. I don't know what it's thinking, but it's called like a reality distortion is what I looked it up in code. See, okay, so mirror dimension. Did you see that? It like shifted the pieces over. So anyway, this experiment kind of taught me a lot. First thing is AI can do some really cool things when you're constantly pushing it to think about doing things better. The limit really is the amount of code that it's managing, which is why these AIs struggle so much in these large code bases. Because it worked great up until the point I got to about 800 to 1,000 lines of code in that Python file. And then it decided to break it out, which is great. It should have done that 100%. So I just keep playing this for a while just to kind of like test it all out. You see that nice double effect there? That was kind of cool. Um, I really wanted to do this experiment to see like what it would come up with if I kept pushing it. And honestly, I'm fairly impressed. Some really neat particle effects, some really neat power up ideas. I am disappointed I lost some of the RPG elements that it was headed for. I thought that could have been kind of cool. And I probably could have directed it back in that direction after it split out the files. But in general, you could just see like by playing, like doing this type of test, there's some clear limitations you run into, primarily on just the amount of code. The AI just cannot hold this entire project in its context very well, be able to continually iterate on it. So I got to a point where I started like losing things or things would start getting broken and then I'd spend like 30 minutes redirecting it back to fix it. My goal was for me to not have to write any lines of code at all. And that was incredibly hard to pull off because I kept running into these like weird issues. Now, the final amount of lines of code that it managed in Tetris.py was 1,377. It actually does score, keep my high score in there. The effects file was 779 lines of code. The constants file was 71 lines of code. And notice this reality tear, void zone. There's actually different weather types, which I thought was like really clever. And then the board is 239 lines of code. And it seems to work a lot better if I would have directed it to break up this Tetris Py file even more, because I think this just got too much for it to manage, where it started absolutely like breaking things periodically. But anyway, I wanted to like really push this thing to the absolute limit of what it could do. And I think I did a pretty good job at that. It took more hours than I had anticipated to actually go through this experiment. And I'd be curious to see if you guys have done something similar. Have you like tried to tell AI to just keep making things better and better and better and better and see what you could get? It clearly tries to do it, and it does a pretty good job at it until it hits like that limit that it runs into, which is really just the amount of context it can hold. Anyway, I think that's a wrap. This experiment, I would say, has been a success. I learned a ton. I also think I pushed the limits to what GitHub Copilot extension could actually do, because I was crashing my IDE with out of memory issues, again, 3 times on that. If you like stuff like this, please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. It'd mean the world to me. Anyway, till next time, guys. Peace out.